A lot of people have said this for a lot of different reasons, but I think that right now, Marvel Snap's ladder, especially at Top Infinite, is actually broken. Let's talk about why, what's going on, and what I'm going to do about it. Next to me, you can see my stats for the most recent climb session that I participated in High Infinite. Now, as you can see, this was a fairly productive session with some good decks, some bad decks. You might see a deck highlight on one of the decks that's shown right there in the near future. But as you can see, I gained 36 cubes over the course of that session. Now, typically, when you gain 36 cubes, you would expect that you also gain SP, snap points, and then, by extension, maybe some ranks. That is not happening right now. I gained 36 cubes. I ended the session with less SP than where I started. Why? What is going on here? Well, basically, as far as I can tell, matchmaking bans within Infinite have been increased pretty dramatically. It used to be completely out of the norm for someone at my rank in MMR to see someone who didn't have a number next to their name, or even someone in the multiple thousands. This has become more and more commonplace. Now, this wouldn't be a problem if Marvel Snap wasn't a game that involved luck instead of skill in some cases, right? I don't care how good you are, if your opponent turn 3 Mr. Negatives you and you don't have the Mobius, it doesn't matter what you were doing in that situation. I bring this up because what's happening effectively is that losses are being punished too hard and wins are not being rewarded enough. Anyone who's spent any time in High Infinite will be extremely familiar with this dynamic already. This is a relatively normal thing, and I wouldn't be making the video if something hadn't changed. Unfortunately, in my experience, in the experience of basically every other High Infinite player that I've talked to, it seems like something has. What's going on effectively when I play this game is that if I tie with somebody, I lose 2 SP. If I beat somebody, I gain 3 per cube, and if I lose to somebody, I lose 4 per cube. Sometimes it's more. The more cubes are at stake, the more you can actually see the difference. For example, a lot of my typical 4-cubers are plus 11, where my typical 4-cube losses are around minus 16. This means that you can have a very successful climbing session and still end up losing SP. It is a disincentivization to play. And personally, as someone who struggles with tilt, it really sucks to log on, have a good session that in previous months would have seen me gain SP, but because the people I'm playing are worse and the system thinks I should beat them more often, I am now losing. Why does the system think that? Because that's how ELO/MMR based systems work. The way these systems work is each player has a rating. The rating roughly corresponds to how much you should be better than the person you're playing. If I, at 8,700 SP, play against someone at 7,800 SP, it seems to think that I should be beating that person about 66% of the time. That is a problem because this is a card game. This is a game that fundamentally has matchups, randomness, and variance infused into it. That means that there are certainly going to be cases where the worst player beats the better player, and that is to be expected. This behavior is normal for an MMR system. What is not normal is the degree to which it has increased. As a tilter, it is a very frustrating thing to deal with. I'm going to show you something that I consider pretty completely insane. Let's take a look. These are my season stats. A 55% win rate with 160 cubes gained. I think we can all agree it's not my best season. Last season, I had an above 60% win rate. Don't get me wrong, I think I am partially to blame here too. However, the real thing that's getting me is when you look at those stats, I think I would like to ask you the question, and I'm going to pause for you to think about the answer. I really am. How much SP do you think I've gained since I entered Infinite, winning 160 net cubes? Because the answer, in my opinion, will shock you. I'm going to pause here. Let me know what you think. Think of a number, and then I'll tell you. It's under 60. I've gained less than 60 SP, not ranks, SP. Less than 60 for 160 cubes gained at a 55% win rate. I feel like if there is a system that is telling you that winning 55% of your games with a fairly positive cube rate is bad, if that is not enough to continue going up, I don't really know what else to say. This was originally going to be a video where that number was about 130 and I had lost 20 SP. It is so incredibly hard to climb when the odds are stacked against you in this way. During today's session, I had 2 ties. Both of those ties lost me SP. On 1 cube or 2 cube ties. 2 SP. It's unbelievable considering that's about how much SP I get per cube. The win rate required to climb is ridiculous, it is outrageous, and it is sort of increasing. This is a dynamic that typically only exists at the very, 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 very top end of Infinite. Like rank 1 top end of Infinite. Like you have 10,000 SP and nobody else is anywhere even close to you. Here's the thing, I'm not that far out of the norm. I'm like pretty high. I'm like rank 40 right now. This should not be happening. The matchmaking bands should not be wide enough that a 55% win rate is not enough to go upwards in a meaningful way. Because it just isn't. If I lose 2 8-cubers, I will not have gone up at all. You will be looking at a stat that says plus 144, 0 gains. It's not okay. So what does this mean for me? I honestly agonized pretty hard before making a video about this topic because I realize it sort of comes off like a skill issue, right? I'm yelling and it feels bad and I'm mad because I lost and all of that stuff is undeniably true. While I and other top players have absolutely noticed what seems to be an expansion of the MMR bans, there may be some things I can do to play around it, like playing at more peak hours. Maybe the reason this is happening is because there are less players in Infinite. I don't actually know. That is something that is in the back of my mind. I personally can't speak to it. But what this means for me, and the reason I ultimately decided to make this video, even though I feel like it does come off a little bit like sour grapes, is because ultimately I want to move past that. I have decided that if this is how things are going to be, what I need to do is be myself and try to make better content rather than focusing myopically on the number next to my name. So maybe we'll see some more top 69 KMBest rather than really pushing for top 10, top 20 all the time if this is how things are going to be. If they fix it and my win rate being 55% is good enough, that's fine. But as a content creator, I am obligated to play different decks so that I can make videos on them. And if I have to get punished incredibly heavily for that learning process, I have to choose between caring about my rank and caring about all of you guys and what you do for me. I'll be honest, I've sort of been looking for an excuse to care less about my rank and to try more unique and off-meta and weird stuff, and I'm glad that this excuse has been dropped in my lap. Because ultimately, it is not healthy to spend so much time focusing myopically only on the number next to your name and letting your self-worth be determined by that. I have been doing that for a decade and a half when it comes to card games. I am going to do my best to unwire my brain of thinking that way. I hope that you will stick with me. I don't intend to suddenly end up washed or bad or anything like that. I still plan on trying to compete at the highest level, but I have to accept that in this world, the fact is, on this climb, I was very successful, except for one deck that I went 3-9 with and lost 12 cubes, and it took the entire climb to offset those losses, because that's just how bad it is to lose those games. And, you know, sometimes bad streaks are going to happen, but they shouldn't need this much to cancel it out. And so until they fix that, in order to be a competent content creator, I'm going to be making an active effort to decouple my self-worth from my rank. And I'm not going to sit here and encourage you to do the same thing. But what I am going to say is I'm hopeful it'll make me a better content creator. I'm hopeful it'll allow me to be a more open and nice person, because one of the worst things about me is how I get when I'm competitive, how I get when I'm salty, how I get when I lose. And I think this is a good opportunity for me to try to become a more graceful loser. If the odds are going to be stacked against me, the least I can do is try to accept my fate with grace. So, with all of that said, thank you so much for watching. I have been KMBest. You have, as always, been phenomenal. And I really appreciate you just sort of sitting through this, because it means that you might just keep sitting through my stuff. I'm very grateful to have put in so much work to have earned the platform that I have, in as much as I have earned anything. And I just sort of really want to look at this as a chance to turn over a new leaf. And if it weren't for that, I probably wouldn't be making this video. You'd probably be watching like a Thanos video right now or something. But I am still going to be pushing near the top of the metagame. I realize to a lot of people out there, there's like no difference between top 20 and top 50. So they're like, KM, what are you talking about? But trust me, it matters to me very greatly, or at least it did, and I'll have to work on making it matter a little bit less. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy, hopefully, the new leaf that I have to turn over, involving me becoming a nicer, more open, and more kind person. I'm going to try to do that because I feel like a lot of my issues are related to tying my self-worth and my fear of losing my job, such as it is, to my rank. So hopefully this will be the impetus I need to just generally be a better person. In light of that, if I have been rude to you, I genuinely do apologize. I was probably just mad that you beat me. Don't beat me. I mean, come on, that's very rude. Thanks so much for watching. I've been KMBest. You've been phenomenal. And I will see you in the next one.